If your dryer sounds like it's running but it's not tumbling the clothes, it's probably because the belt broke. This repair video is going to apply to every single dryer ever existed that has the lint filter on the top of the lid. All these top filter dryers were made by Whirlpool, and they started making them back in the 60s, and they still make them new to this day, and all the parts are the same. To do this repair, you need only really two tools. You need a Phillips screwdriver or drill and a 5/16 nut driver. Your belt may have broke for no particular reason, but sometimes it breaks for a reason. And I recommend, if you're going to open up your dryer, why not replace all the moving parts on it? They're not very expensive, and you could kind of like just fix it and be done with it, not have to fix it every 6 months or a year. You know, this will kind of reset the clock and give you another 15 years as far as the moving parts go. So the kit that I have has got a replacement belt, 2 new drum supports. These are the little clips that hold the drum support in place, and this is a new tensioner pulley. I'll put a link in the description if you want to buy this repair kit. I'll have it available on my website, and we ship really fast, guys. We ship every day. Usually this will ship either priority or first class, and you'll just get it in a couple of days, so you know, you don't have to worry about it too much. So the first things first is make sure you unplug the dryer. Whether it's electric or gas, you should unplug it. Second step is to remove this lint filter, and that'll expose 2 Phillips screws. Just remove those. Once you have this removed, you're going to want to lift this lid up, and the trick to lifting this lid is to kind of put your knee at the front cover here, and then you want to pull this forward a little bit. It'll only pull about a 1/4 inch, but that's enough to release it. So pull and then give it a lift. Hey. Now hopefully your dryer's up against the wall, so you could just kind of lift the lid and lean it up against the wall. Once you have the top open, we want to undo this screw, which is on the inside right by the drum. This holds the front cover in place. There's one on the left, and then there's one on the right. So once you have both the screws undone, you'll notice that the front cover kind of comes right out. Now you'll see this harness is connected. This is the dryer door switch. To undo this, you'll have to get a flat blade screwdriver or a spatula and pry this open. But I'm going to show you a little trick so that you don't even have to unplug it, and you can just move the door out of the way. This little clip is kind of holding the harness in place. So grab a small pair of pliers if you can't squeeze it with your fingers, and squeeze it, and then just push it down. That'll give your wiring enough slack. So the dryer is clipped in on these little, like, they're kind of like hooks like this. And so what you want to do is, after you get the dryer front door tilted out, you just kind of want to lift. Lift on the right side, and then lift a little bit on the left side, and it should come out with minimal effort. Now what we could do, since we have all this slack on the wiring, we could just pick up the door and move it off to the right side of the dryer. Once you do that, you just want to pick up the drum a little bit and then slide it out just like that. This is your old idler pulley. It might have flung off and, you know, been anywhere at the bottom of the dryer. We don't need this anymore. We're not going to use this. We're going to put the new one in. And then the drum supports are back here. There's one on the left and then one on the right. The left wheel, we're going to start by undoing this mounting screw here, and then you could just pick up this, and if you just wiggle it, it'll take that push nut off. The second thing is we need to remove one of these triangles. Don't be afraid if you break one. The new kit comes with a set of 4. You won't even use all 4. Once you have the old wheel off, you definitely want to inspect the shaft. It should be kind of chrome and nice. If it looks like worn, like if you let your wheels go bad too long, you might have to replace the shafts too. But if they're clean and shiny, you could just reuse them as they sit. We're gonna take a dry cloth and we're just gonna kind of wipe it. If you have like stubborn, like black marks, you might want to get a little bit of WD-40 on the shaft, and you could use that to clean it up. This one's pretty decent, so we're just gonna roll with it. Now, this is a very controversial subject. A lot of people ask whether you should put oil on these shafts or not. The official Whirlpool repair steps don't say anything about putting oil. I've been doing this for 22 years now, and quite frankly, I use a drop of just like turbine oil, and what I'll do is I'll just kind of put like a tiny little bit, just so it really gets impregnated in that bronze bushing. If you put too much, it'll start to collect lint, and that's not a good thing. We don't want that. But I think a little bit is okay. So then we're going to take our new triangle, and you're just going to push it on, just like that. You don't have to replace the back one if it's not broke. The next step is we're gonna put our bracket back on. The push nut, you should simply be able to push it back in and then put the screw back in. The right wheel is basically the same process. We're gonna remove the front triangle clip by any means necessary. Don't worry, they give you 4. And then clean it with the towel. This one is showing a little bit of wear, and that's kind of what you want to look for if you feel like your dryer's a little bit too noisy. Now this one, I could feel it, it's totally fine. This kind of barely wore through the chrome, and that's kind of part of the normal wear and tear of these. I don't think it warrants replacing it. If yours has like a groove in it, or your shaft isn't like quite round anymore, replace it, because it won't last very long. I'm gonna put a small little bit of oil, 1 new triangle clip, and then just bring this wheel forward because it'll help with the installation later. So the next step is we want to put the belt around the drum, and you want the grooved side touching the drum. And just kind of find, you'll see the wear marks or the witness marks where the belt used to be. Just try and get it in that general vicinity. And so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna install the drum. Now, what I like to do is I like to pick up the drum by the belt and by the front. And this just helps so that you could really guide it in nice and easy. And then just kind of set it down and then start to rotate it a little bit. And it'll kind of fall in its groove. You also want to give it a couple of courtesy turns. You want to make sure that this felt seal isn't folded in like that. So you want to make sure that it's out and that you can see all 3 lines, and then you're good. Now we need to get this tensioner pulley in place. Now this is where the tensioner pulley sits, specifically on the one in the back. This one is from a very old design. I don't know why they still have that in their stamping. But basically what you want to do is you want to get this front curve in and then kind of give it a little lift like that. And it's not going to lock into place. This is designed to not really be connected. So we're going to leave it like that, and then we're going to feed the belt through. To put the belt, it's really simple. Start off with the belt on the top of the tensioner pulley, and you want to feed it through the center of the tensioner pulley. So you're going to feed it through here. And then you have to pull on the tensioner pulley until you get enough slack that you can get it around the motor pulley. And then just kind of make sure that it's set in place. So you see it's just like a big S. As long as you have that S shape, you did it correctly. And if you have the belt oriented correctly, then the grooves will be on the motor pulley, but the back of the belt will be on the idler. So once you give it a couple of revolutions and it doesn't snap off, then you know you're pretty much in good shape. These are the panel clips. So we're gonna slide the metal cover onto this little clip to reattach it. This is a little bit tricky. This one might take you a few minutes to do. With your left hand, you're going to want to push the drum. You're going to want to push the drum in its seated position, and this will help you get the door in. Now this door, we're going to put it on one side at a time. So you're going to see the square hole on the door panel. You're just going to kind of want to line it up, and you'll know it's in because it won't come out. The drum will set over this felt. The last step is going to be to get the other side in, and you could do that just by simply lifting until you get it in place, and then it'll set down and you're good. And this is kind of what it should look like if you did it correctly. Your felt will be on the underside of the drum. We're going to put the front screws back on. Don't forget to reattach this wire. You simply just have to push it through the hole. Bring the lid back down and then give it a little pull just like how you opened it, and it should click right down. Get your last 2 screws, and you might have to pull a little bit on this duct to get it lined up. Put your lint filter back in, Plug in your dryer and check your work. Purrs like a kitten. This repair is not only for if your dryer is not spinning, but also if your dryer's really noisy. This repair kit will take care of any rumbling, squeaking, squealing, any type of noise that this dryer could possibly make that would not be normal.